Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us here at our 8th Annual World Cancer Day Conference. It would be fair to say that this time last year, we actually thought that we would host this event live, that we would have seen COVID behind us. We did not predict at least another or two strains of the virus. The important thing for us is keeping people well informed, keeping people safe, but keeping people connected and informed. We are absolutely delighted to be going live here with our Hop-In platform conference this year from the Fir Trees Hotel in Strabane. Had we been in person, this is where we would have chosen. The reason being that we operate across the north and south of Ireland. We have expanded and grown so greatly to be able to achieve that. The Fir Trees Hotel is a small hotel sitting in Strabane, a small community that has seen its difficulties and challenges greater than a whole lot more other areas because it brings with us rural communities and cold spots in the surrounding areas. So we're really, really proud to be running great services from the Strabane area, bigger and better than we were last year. What I will say is that despite the pandemic, we've been able to achieve successfully since we were here last year. That includes the recognition by the National Lottery to give us and award us a return award of a successful amount of £500,000 to cover the next 4 years of our great project, continuing to do what we do best. Supporting people, educating people, informing people, and campaigning along with people for equal access to vital services and treatment for cancer. We are absolutely proud and delighted to be able to say that this year also we have been recognised as one of the top 14 charities in the north of Ireland by the Department of Health, who put their faith in us and the work that we do and allowed us to enhance our team by 3 people. We are delighted and honoured to say that the Department of Health awarded us £250,000 for over 2 years through cancer supporting community groups funding. That wouldn't be possible without you, the important people here, the people who continuously support us with or without that large amount of funding, the audience, the partner groups, the networking that we do. Again, it would be remiss of me to ignore the fact that over the next 2 days, you will hear from a vast range of very diverse speakers that all fit into the work that we do locally, regionally, nationally, and globally. We have set about achieving even more contacts, more relationships, more partnership working, all with a view to creating a cancer-free community. Cancer is something, it is a disease that knows no boundaries, no race, no religion. There is a postcode lottery and a geographical difference that we want to challenge and change, because it is then that we will see the benefits of co-productive, collaborative, co-creative working. We all need to work together. Working together means that we can make a difference. We don't recognise that cancer should be recognised by Brexit. Cancer treatments and drugs shouldn't be affected by a border or a protocol or anything else. Cancer should be recognised for what it is. Support for people living with and after a cancer diagnosis, be it the person affected directly or the person affected indirectly. Now, we have had the most amazing support from the Mayor of our city over the past year, Graham Work. I would now like to ask Graham Work, as Mayor of the city, whose family have supported us down the years and walked alongside us, from his mother Jeanette to his brother Graham. Without further ado, I would now like to introduce our Lord Mayor of our city, Graham Work. Hello, Graham.
Hi,
How are
Maureen.
you? How are you?
All good. How's you?
All good. We're up here in the other part of your council area. We are up here in Strabane.
Are you? No way.
Are you? We are. We're going live from the fir trees. So, Graham, would you just like to say a few words to our audience?
Hi, everyone. Happy. Am I actually on live here now, Maureen?
Yes? You're live, Graham. You
Maureen,
keep talking.
I was having so many technical problems here getting on to.
Where are you?
I don't even think I should be on this one. I think I should be back in another one, to be honest.
Right. So, Liam, I think, or Graham, you should say your speech now because you're actually live and the audience are watching us.
Right, okay, Maureen. Will do.
Okay, thank you.
Morning, everyone. So, good morning. As Mayor of Derry, Strabane District Council, it gives me a great pleasure this morning to welcome the guests attending the World Cancer Day conference organised by the Pink Ladies Cancer Support Group. I understand that many of you attending this very important conference are from all corners of the globe. As Mayor of the City of Derry, I would like to extend my warm welcome to you, and I hope that you have the opportunity to visit this wonderful city and experience the local history and culture. The theme of the conference is Close the Care Gap, and speakers across the UK will share their views and close the care gap it means for our community. You also hear speakers talk about cancer prevention and how our lifestyle choices impact the risk of cancer. As Mayor, I am very supportive and echoes the objectives of the conference and the work that has been carried out by the Pink Ladies Cancer Support Group and have been supporting the living with of after cancer have been affected directly and indirectly. I'd like to thank Pink Ladies Cancer Support Group for their unique approach and providing much needed vital service to the community for over 16 years. We all want everyone to live in a community that provides the service to prevent, reduce, and support people affected by cancer. So thank you for inviting me to be part of the conference, and I can take this opportunity to wish everyone associated with the conference every success in the future and the important work you're doing. Thank you.
Graham, thank you so much. It's always a pleasure to have you with us. And I suppose I alluded earlier in my opening speech, I don't know if you could hear it, how supportive your mother has been of the Pink Ladies down the year, and equally your brother, who has unfortunately due to COVID hasn't been able to join us, Alan. I actually introduced him as Graham, and Graham, they'd be thinking, hey, Jeanette has two sons called Graham. Alan has been very supportive through his Different Skins program to us. He always is with us on the first day of March to beat ovarian cancer. So, Graham, I suppose we're delighted as well to have you sponsoring and supporting the Don Bosco's 50th anniversary. I know I sat in the parlour, and I want to let the audience know that you were due to leave the your current role as the Lord Mayor of the city and hand the chain over to somebody else. But Graham, you put up a fight and says, I want to be involved in this. I need to be involved with cystic fibrosis, the Pink Ladies, this great initiative. You're very passionate about community and charity. You're very passionate. Your own charity is Fall Down Syndrome, another group that we work greatly with. So, Graham, have you any final words for us all?
No, I really do wish you all the best. Maureen, yourself, you're doing an amazing job there. And obviously, everybody in those city districts knows the Pink Ladies, what they're doing. They're out there in our community supporting, helping. And obviously, as Mayor, I'll do anything for you. So I have 5 months left, Maureen, not long. But it's still got the time ticking there. And anything you can do to help support you, I'm always going to be there for you. But you're doing an absolute amazing job there. And credit to yourself, Maureen, and your team.
Thank you, Graham. And what I would say is 5 months is still a long time in the role. So I have no doubt we will be down knocking at the door again for God knows what else. And I know we'll always be meted and greeted. Graham, thank you for your participation in all events relevant to community development across your role. Thank you. You've been a true inspiration.
Thank you, Maureen. See you now.
Bye, Graham. Enjoy the rest of your day. Saving our city. Bye.
Bye.
Okay, folks. So look, what I would like to do now, and what we thought about doing, was talking a bit about the project, the organisation, and what we've done over the past year. As you can imagine, as with any other group service, the NHS, we commend the NHS, we salute the NHS, we support the NHS, we work with many areas of the NHS in partnership with a lot of services. We thought that rather than talk to you, we would show you. So we have pulled together a small video of some snippets of some things that we've been involved in and delivered, allowing us to continue to support families and stay connected throughout this awful pandemic. Nobody handed us a manual in training on how to cope with COVID-19. We all very quickly had to adapt and redeliver our services in a way that will continue to benefit the people that we work with and for. So if you bear with us, we'd like to show you some memories. Thank you. Well, I think you'll all agree that we all know that a picture can speak 1,000 words. It speaks volumes. So for us, we take great pride in recording and having a video diary of the work we do. I want to introduce and announce that we are delighted, I said it earlier, to have 3 new members of staff. So I want to welcome Adele, Kieran and Sarah. You won't see them right now, but you will see them across the next few days. And believe me, there's a lot going on behind the scenes, and these guys have hit the ground running in good old Pink Team style. What I will say is that the Pink Ladies continue to operate as a very unique community-based model of cancer support services. We set up 16 years ago. We celebrate our 17th anniversary actually this year in May. And I will now introduce Michelle McLaren to tell you a bit about some of the work that you've seen in the videos just now.
Good morning and welcome to day one for all of you, those of you who are tuned in. As Maureen said there, I hope you've enjoyed our video diary there. As you can see, we haven't stopped at all, and it's been absolutely amazing to be staying connected with people and communities. I suppose the last year, as Maureen alluded to earlier, it didn't come with a manual. We just had to adapt to the pandemic and ensure that we were still providing the best care and services that we could. And we did that amazingly with our team and the help of our amazing, they're actually Earth Angels volunteers who stepped forward and offered to help us to try and continue to deliver. And by God, we delivered. We were able to design and implement our virtual programs. We were keeping everyone connected, keeping them still that social side. You know, the pandemic was hard on everyone, and there were some people who were lonely and were maybe living on their own. So we were able to virtually come into their home and keep them company and keep them as if they still were in that group setting and have that friendship still going. We designed immune packs. We were keeping our members healthy. Not only them, our membership, but their families as well. Jackie, our education and prevention officer, designed immune boosting packs that we were able to send out on a weekly basis, again with the help of the team and our amazing volunteers. And them immune packs contained ingredients and vital information of how to keep themselves well during this pandemic. We also made hundreds and hundreds of support calls. We might have done these twice a week, 3 times a week, as many times as the person wanted. And that was just to stay connected, to keep people connected, to find out things can change overnight. And we wanted to be there to support those people. We stay connected. We continue to stay connected. And we will continue to stay connected. We hope you are really going to enjoy the next couple of days. I'm going to pass you on to Maureen again to talk another wee bit about the past year.
Okay, so look, this is great. This is wonderful. We're delighted to be here. And Michelle has talked about all the stuff, all the positives. I do want to acknowledge the difficulty that we had with losing members, and the fact that we have suffered great loss across COVID, sometimes as a result of underlying conditions with COVID. The team have lost personally, and we have lost members. COVID has stripped us of what we know as normal grieving process, that hug, that kind word, that visit to the home, that support you give the family, indeed your own family. It took it away from us, and we want to acknowledge that. We want to acknowledge how tough that was for us as a team with a natural instinct to support, but how tough it was to watch the families. What I also will say is that despite the pandemic, we have grown in numbers, we have grown in volunteers, and we have grown in facilitators. So we know that there still is a need for the work we do. The next 4 years will see us go on a very, very energetic and strategic journey. And if I could just ask Michelle briefly to talk to you a bit about our Mark Lawler told us last year, don't let cancer be the forgotten sea. Well, guess what, folks? We, with Mark's permission, are leading a campaign with that very quote.
Mm-hmm. Well said, Maureen. As said, a lot of things are starting to change, but our message under Don't Let Cancer Be the Forgotten Sea is, with COVID brought so much fear around, health and returning for appointments. And under our campaign, we want people to know that it is so, so important to be going for them review appointments, to be going for the screening that is being made available to us, to be keeping up to date with our own general health. Sometimes with COVID, whether it's fear or we're just putting things to the back burner because COVID is so prevalent and it's so out there, you're thinking if it's not COVID, then it's nothing to worry about. But your general health and how you're coping with illnesses is so, so important. And the earlier that you get seen when there is a problem or something maybe just isn't feeling right within your body, the sooner it is to get sorted. And yes, if you feel that something is wrong within your body, you're just not feeling well, then it is an emergency that you go and get to see your GP and be referred on to where's best suits you. Also attending all your review oncology appointments. That's so important. During COVID, we know a lot of appointments had been cancelled due to the pandemic, but now they're back up and running. If you know that you should have had an appointment during the COVID time and you haven't received a new one, take the initiative, pick up the phone, ring, advocate for yourself, ring up, say, I haven't been seen, I would like to have an appointment sent out. It is up to you personally for yourself to be able to keep on top of your appointments and that. The NHS has been, and Maureen will be able to agree with me on this, they have been absolutely amazing and they have been worked to the wire. So sometimes just you keeping on top of your own stuff, because you could just fall through a loop and it might take a while for it to come round again. So it is really, really important to take initiative and do that.
Thank you, Michelle. And I know you will hear more about our advice and guidance along with the experts' advice and guidance over the next few days. What I want to do now is introduce you to an amazing young woman that we have had the pleasure of having present to us at our previous 2 World Cancer Day events. She is Melissa Kelly. Now, Dr. Melissa Kelly. Melissa would have presented in the 2 years that she was participating and finishing her PhD, and she has now joined the Pink team as in an advisory capacity. Hi, Melissa. Melissa will be your host for the next 2 days. Okay, Melissa, we're going to hand it all over to your amazing self. Thank you.
God, thank you so much, Maureen. Thank you. Right, so good morning, everyone. My name is Dr. Melissa Kelly, and I'm going to be the host for today's event for both days. So this is my 3rd year being involved with the Pink Ladies World Cancer Day, and I attended the 2nd and 3rd year of my PhD as a speaker, and so I'm just so honored to now be returning on the other side and hosting this event. I'll just walk everyone through some quick housekeeping for today's session to run as smoothly as possible. And I have no doubt that this will be a fabulous event as we have the talented Zia Bia team behind the scenes, making sure everything runs on time and that you're able to see and hear all of our amazing speakers. So as you're aware, the platform that we're using is called Hopin. And Hopin is set up just like a real conference where there'll be the main stage where we are now and session rooms for different activities and speakers. And we want this conference to be as interactive as possible, despite the fact that this is a virtual event. So there are a number of ways that you can interact with the speakers as well as the guests. And if you were at the conference last year, you should be familiar with some of these features that we offer. So first off, we have our live Twitter feed, which you should be able to see on the right-hand side of your screen. We really encourage you to tweet at us using that our handle at Pink Ladies Derry. And if you do that, we will retweet you and you'll be able to see your tweet up on the screen, which is really exciting. So just make sure you're tagging us. You can send in photos of your screen or anything like that. We'd love to hear from you. And we also have some other interactive features here on Hopin, that we have the chat feature, which I'm sure you should be able to use. It should be on the right-hand side of your screen under event. There should be a chat feature. And next to that, we also have another feature this year, which is Slido. So you should be able to see that as well next to the chat icon. And the Slido feature we can use for polls and word clouds and Q&As. So you can use the chat function to ask questions and interact with other guests and speakers. And we will also be running polls. So let's see if we can get a poll up. So if you can go to the right-hand side of your screen, you should see events and Slido. And there should be a poll up that says, how are you feeling today? So if everyone could maybe put in a word to describe how they're feeling, just to make sure that everyone knows how to use it, because this is a great feature. Good, excited, great. Yeah, that's great. We have that working. So we'll be running some of these polls and asking some questions, and these will help guide some of the discussions today and help capture everyone's thoughts and feelings. And we also have some networking rooms during breaks if you want to chat with other people in the audience. And we have 2 activity sessions today facilitated by Angela Mohin that will also take place in the session rooms. Of course, you'll be given plenty of instructions on how to enter those rooms at the appropriate times. And I just want to remind everyone quickly that there's going to be a zero tolerance for any misconduct or foul language using these interactive features. I trust that everyone who is here is only here to enjoy the event, and that's exactly what we plan on doing. So our first session today will begin at 10 a.m., where we will have Michelle McLaren from the Pink Ladies facilitating a discussion with Dr. Sharon O'Toole. Sharon is a research fellow at Trinity College, Dublin, working in the area of ovarian cancer. And they will be discussing gynecological health, including the World Go Day campaign and the Dare to Ask campaign. I want to remind you all to use the chat function to ask some questions if you have any, and Michelle will gladly share them with our guest Sharon. So I now hand you over to Michelle and Sharon. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Melissa.
Yeah.
Thank you,
And
Melissa.
good morning again. I would just like to take this opportunity to thank you, Sharon, for coming on and being part of our World Cancer Day Conference 2022. I'm going to hand over to you now and let you speak on what it is you do best at, and we'll come back after your presentation for a few questions.
Perfect. Thank you, Michelle, and thank you for the invitation to speak today. I'm delighted to get this opportunity to address your conference. So, as Michelle and Melissa said, my name is Sharon O'Toole. I'm a scientist in Trinity College, but I also work closely with the gynecological cancer groups and with some of the ovarian cancer charities. So I was asked to speak to you today about our World Gynaecological Oncology Day and just some awareness in terms of gynecological cancers. So just to highlight first that there are 5 gynecological cancers. We have vaginal cancer, vulva cancer, cervical, uterine or endometrial cancer, and ovarian cancer. I think my slides have disappeared. Perfect. So next slide, please. Perfect. So as I said, there are 5 gynecological cancers. Each one has its own represented color, and then all of the gynae cancers are linked with the color purple. So I suppose across the world or worldwide, we see over 1 million cases of gynecological cancers every year. And in 2020, there was 1.3 million cases of gynecological cancers worldwide. And this led to 420,000 deaths. So quite a significant amount
of deaths related to gynae cancers. The majority of these gynae cancers were cervical cancers, so 44% cervical, 23% ovarian, 29% endometrial, and then less than 5% in the vaginal and vulva cancers. In Ireland, across the island of Ireland, we see over 2,000 cases of gynecological cancers every year. Next slide. I don't seem to have control of my slides, so I'll just ask for the next slide, please. So we have this simple graphic that really highlights, I suppose, the symptoms of the gynecological cancers. And it's really the persistence of these symptoms. And if people want to take a screenshot or a picture of these symptoms, feel free to do so, or we can share it with the Pink Ladies afterwards. But it's just a nice figure to highlight, you know, for example, ovarian cancer is related to many symptoms like abdominal bleeding or discharge, feeling full too quickly, pelvic pain or pressure, and also bloating. Bloating is one of the most common symptoms associated with ovarian cancer, but it's really persistent bloating. So it's not bloating that would come and go with your monthly cycles. It's this persistent bloating that lasts for more than 3 weeks. You know, that if you have these symptoms, that then you need to go and talk to your GP. With uterine cancer, you know, bleeding is often a common cause of uterine cancer. Vaginal cancer, again, you could get discharge or bleeding, or, you know, more urinary symptoms, going to the toilet more often. Then with vulva cancer is often associated with itching or burning pain, you know. So this graphic just highlights, now it's not saying that everyone will have those symptoms, or it's not saying anyone that has those symptoms will have a gynecological cancer, but it's just, if you have persistent symptoms, then we would encourage you to go to your GP to talk about those symptoms. Next slide, please. So World Gynaecological Oncology Day was established on September 20th, 2019. And this really was an initiative started by the Engage group. So Engage are a group of advocacy cancer groups from across Europe, and they sit under the umbrella of the European Society for Gynaecology. So the society itself would have doctors, scientists, and healthcare professionals as part of the society. But the society created this group of cancer advocacy groups, and it's open for people to join from different countries. And because I worked closely with Ovacare, the ovarian cancer charity, we actually joined this Engage group, and there's lots of tools and resources. So if you are part of a cancer support centre or any other group, I would encourage you maybe to look at Engage in terms of gynecological cancers. And even in the last 2 years now, they've also started a group called Engage Teens, where they're encouraging the younger people, I suppose, to share information about the HPV vaccine. So it's a very worthwhile group. And 2 years ago, they decided to have a day for gynecological cancers to raise awareness. So this day is September 20th going forward. And their website is there, worldgoday.org, gives some more information on World Go Day. So next slide, please. So just to bring it back, I suppose, to what we had done in Ireland for a number of years, and prior to World Go Day starting, we were involved in World Ovarian Cancer Day. And that's an initiative organised by the World Ovarian Cancer Coalition. And like the Engage groups, it's an umbrella group for other groups to join. And again, we're 10 years, we're going into the 10th year now of World Ovarian Cancer Day. And it's been a very successful campaign. And each year we've had different groups joining us and joining in the effort for World Ovarian Cancer Day. And that really created our platform to move on to World Gynaecological Oncology Day, because a lot of the groups involved in ovarian cancer are also interested in the other gynecological cancers. So you'll see here for World Ovarian Cancer Day, that happens on May the 8th, but we get buildings across Ireland to light up in teal. We organise seminars and webinars. And this year we had, because we couldn't have any face-to-face events, we had a teal light social media campaign where we got people to light up a teal light and share it on social media. We highlight the symptoms for ovarian cancer on the day, which we use a simple acronym called the BEAT acronym for bloating, eating difficulties, abdominal pain, toilet changes, and we encourage people to go and talk to their GP. Next slide, please. So as I said, a number of groups, we started off with just 2 groups working on World Ovarian Cancer Day, but over the years, other groups have joined us. And now we have over 30 groups that are involved in World Ovarian Cancer Day. And this same group of people have joined us for World Gynaecological Day. And we call ourselves the Irish Network for Gynaecological Oncology. And I created this simple map of Ireland there recently just to highlight. I know the majority of groups are based in Dublin, even though they have networks around the country. But I suppose my ambition is to have dots in every county in Ireland, really. And we were delighted last year that Pink Ladies joined us in our efforts, and also the Swell group from Fermanagh. So it's kind of the first time we have reached the Northern Ireland, and it's great. And as I said, we want to see dots in every county in Ireland. So we'll be pushing for that to get other groups to join us in our efforts. Next slide, please. So as I said, we had our platform, I suppose, from World Ovarian Cancer Day in terms of getting buildings to light up in teal. So for World Gynaecological Oncology Day, we got buildings to light up in purple. And it's really nice and very effective on social media, I suppose, to share all these images. So we every year, I suppose, we try and increase the number of buildings that join in our efforts. But we're delighted with how effective this has been so far. Next slide, please. And Melissa and Michelle spoke to you earlier, I suppose, about our Answers for Cancer podcast. So as part of the World Go Day, each year they have a different theme. And last year there was a Dare to Ask theme. So it was all about communication and trying to get, giving people the information. Information is power, but communication is the solution. So you can have the information, but you really need to communicate with your doctor, if you think you have symptoms. So it's all about, I suppose, encouraging people to communicate more and to dare to ask. So the Dare to Ask campaign was really about getting those questions answered that you've always wanted to ask. And so what we did, we had a number, as you saw, our wide network of groups. So we put it out to our groups for patients to come back to us with questions that they always wanted to ask, or were afraid to ask, or were too embarrassed to ask. So we ran this Dare to Ask campaign, and we got lots of questions that came back from the patients. And they kind of broke down into 4 different areas. And, one of them was about, I suppose, treatment of ovarian and cervical cancer. One area was about the psychological impacts of cancer. There was a lot of genetic questions and a lot of, questions about BRCA and menopause and whether it was safe to go on HRT. So lots of questions in that area. And then lots of questions on, I suppose, what to expect when you go to see a gynaecologist, or if you referred to the hospital for an appointment with a gynaecologist. So we were delighted with the amount of questions and the different areas that we got back. And there are 2 nurses in Dublin that had started the Answers for Cancers podcast. And we had approached them about maybe doing a podcast when we collated all of our questions. Now, we got so many that they actually ran a little mini series and broke it into 4 different podcasts. And we released one a week on the different topics. But this was very effective. And it was really, I suppose, it was answering the questions that patients wanted answered. So it was, and I'll encourage you, those podcasts are available on the Answers for Cancers website, on their Spotify. So I would encourage you to listen to those. There's lots of information there and on all of those different topics. Next slide, please. So in terms of capturing how wide the World Go Day reached last year, and these are figures from Engage. They were able to capture, from social media, I suppose, what the hashtags, and again, encouraging you to share hashtags today, because it just shows, how far the reach is that a conference can have, or a campaign can have. But the World Go Day reached over 47 million people, so there was lots of countries involved and lots of sharing on social media. So that was a really effective campaign. The World Ovarian Cancer Day, I think last year, reached 100 million people. So again, it's, World Go Day is more in its infancy, and as it builds, it will have a wider reach also. So it's great to see that reach of those awareness campaigns. Next slide, please. I just want to also mention as well that part of the work being done here in Ireland, and is work funded by the Irish Cancer Society, but also some of the charities and some of the pharmaceutical companies have supported this, is go.ie, and this is an online personalised resource for women and their partners who've been impacted by gynecological cancers. And it contains lots of information, lots of articles. It's all, peer reviewed. So it's all, it's trustworthy information that's here on this website. Because I suppose a lot of times women would say, they go to Dr. Google, and it's like, where can you get information, and where can you get reliable information? So to answer this, there's a group in UCD who have been working on this, Donald Brennan and Yvonne O'Mara, and it's really to create all of that information, reliable information, so that patients can go to this website. And this platform started with a cervical cancer platform that was released on World Go Day last year. And tomorrow they will be launching the ovarian cancer platform. So we're delighted, and Ovacare, the charity that I work with, has also been involved in this. And the aim is over the next couple of months to complete this and have all the gynae cancers covered on this platform. So what you can do is you can go in and create a profile, and you can say, if you know the cancer type that you have been diagnosed with, if you know the stage, you can create a profile which will give relevant information for you. But also it gives information on all the different directory of services that are available across Ireland. So again, this is a platform in progress. It's constantly building, adding, because people are coming all the time with information on different services that are available across the country. So I would encourage you to have a look at this. And tomorrow, in particular, when the ovarian platform will be launched, there'll be more ovarian specific information. Next slide, please. So just to say, every year these awareness campaigns have a theme, and for World Ovarian Cancer Day this year, it's No Woman Left Behind. So it's really to reach out to as many women as possible and spread that information in terms of ovarian cancer. For the World Go Day, the September 20th will be the date, and they haven't decided on their theme yet. But as I said, last year was information is power, but communication is the solution. So they have very worthwhile themes every year, these two campaigns. Next slide, please. And just to touch briefly on the ovarian campaign, the World Ovarian Cancer Coalition have now designed, I suppose, a charter, because they carried out a large survey of over 1,500 women, and Ireland took part in the study as well, just to see what are the issues that impact on women that are diagnosed with ovarian cancer. So next slide. And this survey, the results of this Every Woman survey, really was the basis for them designing a global ovarian cancer charter. So to highlight key areas that countries could work on. And they identified 6 global goals, and they're on the next slide, please. So these are to make ovarian cancer a global priority, rapid diagnosis, so that women would not have any delay in their diagnosis. And this is all about, I suppose increasing awareness of the symptoms amongst women, but also increasing awareness amongst the GPs also, so that women don't reach a block when they come to the GP, because we know a lot of the ovarian cancer symptoms can be very non-specific, and often other like things like irritable bowel syndrome comes into the mix. But it's important to say that irritable bowel rarely starts for the first time in your 50s, so it's important that GPs have ovarian cancer on the radar as well if women present with those certain symptoms. Also, one of the things in the charter is that every woman should receive the best possible care. They should have access to the best possible treatment and to clinical trials. It's important that women know their family history, and now we know for ovarian cancer that this plays an important role, BRCA testing, because it can determine some of the treatments that women might receive. Data improvement, that's not so much, I suppose, in Ireland, because we have quite good cancer registries, but other countries, I suppose, fall behind in that they don't have national cancer registries. And then that information and support, and people like Pink Ladies, are doing fantastic work in terms of getting information out there to women and supporting women who have been diagnosed with a cancer. So these are the 6 goals that this global charter has identified, and that we're all working towards those goals also. Next slide, please. So I'll finish on that, I suppose, because I know Michelle and myself will have a chat now about some of this. But just to, I suppose, again, to highlight and re-emphasize the communication and, talk to your doctor and bring up these topics. Don't be afraid. And if people want to get involved in World Go Day, please contact me. My email address is there. And also, I'm sure we have a group in your county that would be willing to help and support you as well, because you've seen the many groups that are involved with us. So thank you. Now you can stop sharing the slides.
Sharon, thank you so much. What a wealth of information and a lot of food for thought there.
Mm-hmm.
I suppose I'm just going to come up. I've just been jotting down a few wee questions as I've been going along and listening to your presentation. So just gynecological cancers are among the most common affecting women. Why do you think that women would be more reluctant to go and get checked out?
I think, we've seen a big conversion with breast cancer over the last number of years, and women are no longer afraid to talk about breast cancer. And that's because it's been everywhere. It's been in the media, and suddenly it becomes the norm. Gynae cancers are different and they haven't reached that area yet. And that's what we're trying to do really is, don't be afraid to talk about gynecological cancers. Don't be afraid to talk to your doctor about gynecological cancers. So we're really encouraging, I suppose, women to be more open with their friends to talk about gynecological cancers. It was just always, I suppose, a taboo subject, but we're trying to open that conversation really and get it more talked about, because women they're embarrassed, I guess, and so that's one of the difficulties really.
Yeah, and I know me and you briefly chatted a few days ago when we did speak around the reluctant to go and see, and it is down to that embarrassment and maybe not quite understanding what it is they should be looking out for. A lot of gynecological cancers that we would have more knowledge of would be ovarian cancer and cervical cancer, so maybe not the other gynecological cancers. And I suppose it's having that accurate information on what is the signs and symptoms you should be looking out for, and which you have so clearly shown us there. And if anyone hasn't forgotten to take a screenshot, we can get that information out. But it is that embarrassment, and nobody, as we always say, nobody knows your body like you yourself. And everybody's body is different, and no two symptoms ever feel the same to anyone. So it is just about, taking that control of what is happening within your body. But would you also agree sometimes it's about making that time as well?
And absolutely, Michelle. And women are always busy, and they're busy, and it's taken that time. And a lot of these, just to say, like a lot of we say endometrial, ovarian cancers, they happen, I suppose, in that postmenopausal setting. And women are putting it down, okay, this could be the menopause, but it's important to go and just talk to your doctor about your symptoms and then determine whether any further tests are needed, because it could well be the menopause, but there and these are changes that are happening to the body. So women might expect, okay, well, maybe it is the menopause, but it's the persistence of some of those symptoms, and it's knowing what to look out for, as you said, and I think that simple graphic is really good. It's a really good information there of the symptoms and what to look out for. But then it's making time for yourself. Know your body, know the symptoms, and if anything is persisting and not going away, then go to your GP. And if it is menopausal symptoms, then great, but it's about going early, really, and we're the worst in the world. We are the worst in the world.
Definitely. We so are.
Yeah.
So you're that busy, maybe with kids, work, and sometimes you just say, oh, I'll see to that next week, and next week's next month, next year. And I suppose I just want to touch a wee bit when we are talking about that. Some could be menopausal, but for us ladies that are younger, I suppose age should not be a defining factor to actually, sometimes we might say to ourselves, oh, I'm far too young to be having any type of that kind of bother at this age. But it's about having that, I suppose, under your hashtag, dare to ask, if you're having them symptoms and you're maybe, you know that you're having them, ask to be referred to the specialist, or asking, why am I having this? Can I get a definitive answer of what is happening within my body? But again, when you are younger, you're maybe that wee bit more apprehensive about, you're not actually challenging, you're just being your own advocate for yourself.
Yeah, possibly, Michelle. And it's important to say as well, while I said the majority occur in that postmenopausal setting, there are a lot of cancers that also happen in the younger women, and we see a lot of women, in their 40s, being diagnosed with ovarian cancer. So it can happen a lot earlier, and sometimes when there's a family history there, it tends to, happen maybe 10 years earlier in the next generation. So that's important to know. That's really important to know a family history when you are going to the GP, to say, is there a family history of breast or ovarian or pancreatic? Because some of those can be associated with, ovarian cancer is associated with the BRCA mutations, but also with Lynch syndrome. So if there's a history of colorectal, so that's really important, and really important for women to know. Is there any family history? And sometimes that family history may not be there, because it may have been all men in the siblings. So it's not always there in families. So, but if it is, it's an important thing to highlight to your GP. And we know the cervical cancers, they happen in the younger age group, and they do happen in the older, but more commonly in the younger age group. So again, it's back to that point, understanding what the symptoms are. But if you have them and they're persistent and they're not going away, it's not something that comes and goes with your monthly cycle, then you need to go and get it checked, So it's really encouraging people, I suppose, to get persistent symptoms checked out.
Yeah, and I suppose too, where there is family history, getting the family history testing done, to see if you are carrying the BRCA gene, to just so that you are aware that you are at higher risk than the lady who is not carrying the gene. Is really, really important as well. And that works really well under your global charter as well. So just getting onto your global scale, what are the benefits of working with all these global groups for your awareness days and that?
Well, it's really good, because I suppose, the one thing with both the World Ovarian Cancer Coalition and the Engage group for World Go Day is that we're all giving the same message. So they give their common theme, and this year for the ovarian cancer, it's no woman left behind. So we'll all be using that hashtag. We'll all be going after that one area, and they both provide lots of tools and resources. So if you want to print pull-up banners, if you want to print posters, all of that material is downloadable from their website. They'll create the frames for the social media so that everyone can use those and put those on your social media. Like for even World Cancer Day tomorrow, tomorrow they have, the World Cancer Day organization have all of those tools as well. So, but I think, having us even here in Ireland, having us all going with the same message, this consistency in that message, and it might, that repetitive message coming from everywhere is what sinks in. If we were all going out with different messages, nobody'd know who to listen to.
For people.
Yeah. Absolutely. And let's say, for example, for World Ovarian Cancer Day, we all go with the BEAT campaign. We use those symptoms to highlight the symptoms of ovarian cancers. So I think that consistency, and then, they have a wider reach, so they will share any tweets or any social media that comes from here. They're delighted to hear that, and they will share it on their platforms, which has a lot wider reach than ours. So definitely we have had, great success really working with the groups, and last year here in Ireland, we were awarded a Global Impact Award from the World Ovarian Cancer Coalition for our efforts on World Ovarian Cancer Day. So it was great to have everyone, I suppose, come together and giving the same message out there.
Yeah. And I suppose and round the reason of awareness, do you think that more leaflets, more information needs to be in the public domain for people to be able to access it?
Yeah, I mean, there's lots of leaflets out there, and we know from, let's say here in the Republic, there's a charity called SOC who have had symptoms of ovarian cancer. They have designed those leaflets, and they have them in all the GP surgeries for the last number of years. So I think, and while they, lots of people use those leaflets and everything, sometimes, you kind of wonder, okay, well, maybe we'll see an improvement in our, how early people are diagnosed if they're looking at those leaflets. So I think it's a combination. I think we need more than leaflets. We need to be spreading that message out there in the general media as well. And I think, breast cancer has done that quite effectively,
yes,
with breast check,
definitely.
and there was so much this year, and showing women how to do the examination. And I think having people do the examination on social media and showing them what way to do it properly, all of those things help. And so we hope, we're further behind with the gynae cancers, but we hope, every year that we will increase that awareness and get people talking. But there are targeted audiences that we can go after, and targeted age groups, I suppose, for the different cancers. And it's just to reach out to them. What we've been doing so far, we've been doing just with no funding behind us, so we've just been, so it's purely the goodwill of the people involved, and getting the help and the tools and resources from the World Ovarian Cancer Coalition and Engage. But we've had no other funding behind us. So this year we're trying to raise some funds to engage, the help of a PR agency to help us get our message out there further. So we're in the process of organising that at the moment, and hopefully our reach will be wider. But it'll be interesting to see.
It'll be interesting to see, Shirley. But I would say, just even having people come on and support, and as you said, seeing much more dots around the island of Ireland there, just to get more collaborative partnership working, just reaching bigger platforms, I suppose, and getting all that information out there, and just ensuring that women are picking it up. And just going back on, when we're talking about breast cancer and other things, I suppose there is no screening as such available for gynaecological cancers or the ovarian.
No, so we know, there's no screening for ovarian cancer. We know a large screening trial took place in the UK. It was called the UKC Tox trial. They screened over 200,000 women with a CA-125 blood test and ultrasounds. And what they found, that it didn't increase survival. So whether you were diagnosed as being part of the screening trial, or whether you were diagnosed, just incidentally, your outcome was no better for being part of the screening trial. And actually, a lot of unnecessary we'll say investigations took place in the screening arm that can cause harm to women as well. So that's why at the moment ovarian cancer screening is not recommended. So all we have really is the awareness of the symptoms, and hopefully, as treatment has changed and we now have PARP inhibitors for ovarian cancer, it's meant that a lot of women have been able to avail of the BRCA testing, and identifying those families with the family history can, I suppose, make the younger, or the next generation, more aware of what to look out for in terms of ovarian and breast cancer. So I think, we're a lot of more people now will know whether they have a BRCA mutation or not, and that information, it will be powerful as well, in terms of preventing ovarian cancers going forward. So absolutely, it's we have, I suppose, for cervical cancer, we do have a screening, and we do have the HPV vaccination. So we have a very effective program for cervical cancer, and that's led to the WHO hoping that they can eliminate cervical cancer. So hopefully in the future we'll be saying there's only 4 gynecological cancers, because maybe cervical cancer will be eliminated. Then I suppose the endometrial, we see, and I suppose a lot of endometrial cancers present early because they present with bleeding, and postmenopausal bleeding. So that is a sign for a lot of women. If they experience bleeding, they do go and get that checked, and that leads to a lot of those endometrial cancers being diagnosed early, which is great because sometimes it's just surgery that's needed as the treatment, and they may not have to have any chemotherapy or radiation. But again, we know that there is with the increase in obesity, we see an increase in endometrial cancer. So there are a lot more cases of endometrial cancer presenting, and if someone ignores those symptoms, then it can be diagnosed late. But at the moment, a lot of endometrial cancers are diagnosed early, which is great. The vaginal and vulvar cancers are I suppose they're less common cancers, but they do, it's a horrible disease as well to get, vaginal and vulvar cancer, and some of them are associated, some of the vulvar cancers are associated with HPV. So again, with the HPV vaccination, we may see a reduction in the number
on that as well.
Those cancers as well, but they are, and they're not pleasant cancers. So again, it's being aware of when you need to go and get symptoms checked really for those cancers.
So would you say there is a lot of misconceptions around recognizing the signs?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think one of the most common, and it's really something that we want to get out there this year, is that a lot of women think by going for the smear test, you are checking everything gynae. And so that is our biggest message, that a smear does not detect ovarian cancer. It doesn't detect the other gynecological cancers. Now, maybe on examination, if someone is going for their smear, something vaginal or vulvar may be seen, and things may be picked up that way, but it's not meant to check for all the gynae cancers. And that is something, and you see when women present, with ovarian cancer, but I was getting my smear, and my smear was, so that is, that's a really key message that we want to get out there, is that the smear test doesn't check for everything gynae. So and if we only get that message across, we'd be doing well, because a lot of people think, because they had a clear smear, they're fine, so with any gynae symptoms. So, and you probably see that as well, Michelle.
We see that quite a lot. A part of our work is providing awareness programs, so may it be in through schools, and women of all different age groups. And I suppose that is something that has come up a lot of times. I get my smear tests, and they seem to think that covers for smear and ovarian, but I can honestly, with my hand in my heart, say that none of the girls or ladies that we have ever been in, we have named the other gynecological cancers, and I suppose it is. So that's something that I will cautiously bring on to the awareness sessions that we do to make people more aware that there is more than just ovarian and cervical. And I suppose, making sure that people are going for those routine smear tests as well, and not lagging behind or making up the excuse, because nobody likes getting them done, but they are really, really important. And we work here in Derry with a cervical cancer campaigning group, Team Saoirse, and highlighting the importance of going for them types of screening. Saoirse was a young lady who lost her life to cervical cancer at a very young age, younger than the recommended time frame to have a cervical smear. She was too young for a smear, but that's something that her family also are trying to push forward, that you get a smear on demand. So basically, if you are symptomatic, that you should be offered a smear test, which is so important as well, because that's another barrier for ladies who are younger that are having signs and symptoms of gynecological cancers.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And and again, it's having, the story of Saoirse, to tell people as well. And a personal story always reinforces the message. And we would have had the same here with Laura Brennan, who died of cervical cancer also. And, her story has been powerful, I suppose, in terms of encouraging people to go for the vaccination and encouraging people to go for the smears. But, if it happens before you're that age, I suppose, for being invited for smear tests, then it's very difficult. But that's where I suppose we have the HPV vaccination now, and the possibility of eliminating cervical cancer. So so I think telling those stories and telling those personal stories and working with people to highlight the awareness is really key.
And when you add on those personal stories, it gets women talking to each other as well, even to kind of, if it's even to reassure someone, go for your smear, it's not that bad. Sometimes people have this whole what it's going to be like in their head, and it's actually not even like that. So it's important to kind of, chat, as you say, chat to each other and, try and be that wee bit more open and honest about our bodies. We're all women. We all have the same bits. So why not just try and get the conversation going? And, years ago, it may have been a taboo subject, but not so much now. I think there's a different generation coming along now where we're more vocal on everything rather than, do you know what I mean? And
and hopefully
and we're getting more confidence.
Hopefully that will change, and I think even, seeing in the engaged group, having the engaged teens, they have a different perspective. They're on a different social media platform, and getting them involved and getting that message out to people their own age is really powerful as well, So I think it's great. And they're, if anyone has teenagers that would love to get involved in that, they're looking for members from different countries, and it's just interesting to see what messages they come up with, and targeting their age group, with that. So hopefully, in a few years' time, we will see that people aren't afraid to talk about gynae cancers, and that it'll become more common speak, than it has been, really, So
I find too, when it comes to different types of cancers, social media and celebrities seem to have this, where if we would say to young girls, about breast cancer, they could nearly name, they know about it. And it's mainly because of, somebody in the public eye who they're able to chat about, and people in the public eye make great ambassadors, but so do normal people as well that aren't in the public eye. So it is good. Sometimes it's nice to just put yourself forward there, and that opportunity for young teenagers to get involved would be absolutely fantastic. And, I know us at the Pink Ladies will be sure to put that out there, especially around our youth centres and some of the younger girls that we work with. I suppose coming on to that, Sharon, how can people get involved with World Go Day? What, can you talk us through how we could click on?
Yeah, so absolutely. So you'll see World Go Day has its own website, worldgoday.org, and each country can submit activities that they're going to have, and they have a map of the world, and you can see what's happening in Ireland, what events are happening. So we're all encouraged. So let's say the 30+ groups that are involved in our network, if anyone is having an event, and I know we've been limited with COVID, but hopefully this year we'll be able to have some face-to-face events and some information seminars. And in the past we have had maybe tours of labs or whatever, have some talks and then bring people around the lab to see where the research is done. So just having some of those face-to-face events. I mean, if people want to contact me about getting involved, absolutely, just, or you can send me an email. I know my email address went up there earlier, or you can get it from Pink Ladies, because we'd be delighted if more groups got involved, and we all share the same message. So we do our press release and we know what message we're giving out there. But, people can organize their own events locally, and we may have a cancer support center in your area that's doing something for World Go Day that we can put you in touch with. So it's really about knowing what goes on. Most of our information, I suppose, it's via Facebook and Twitter, but we have a mailing address as well, a mailing list if people want to know what's happening. And we do release a press release of what activities we'll be doing on the day. So please do get in touch, and I'm on Facebook and Twitter as well, Sharon O'Toole, so people can find me there.
I'm sure anyone on the audience who's on listening today will hopefully take that forward and get in touch. I'm just kind of taking a wee look here, Sharon, just to see if any questions has come in. Folks, if any of you have any questions for Sharon before we sign off, don't feel free to put them into the chat there, and myself or Sharon will try and answer them here for us. But Sharon, this was actually a great interview, and I'm so glad I came on to talk to you today. Just a great topic to be talking about, and as a young woman who has had breast cancer, and I suppose at a very young age, nearly at the time when I should have been too young, it's humbling to be able to come on and hear that, the dare to ask. I'm so passionate about, your own body. Don't be afraid to ask for, a second opinion, or, ask to see someone else. And write down if your GP is a male, it's okay to ask and say you want to see a female. Sometimes we feel we can't ask, and the dare to ask is just, it's so empowering, and it's keeping them communication lines open between the professional and yourself, and just being able to talk, and again, talk amongst friends. I know, breast cancer is coming, we're just chatting about it all the time now. And so we say, let's get chatting, let's chat a wee bit more about, things that are taking us out of our comfort zone, but can inevitably save our lives.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's great to see that you're highlighting the gynecological cancers as well, because that's so important. It's having that platform and, somewhere to talk about the gynecological cancers. And, as we said, information is power, but communication is the solution. And it really is encouraging people to talk more and to talk about the gynae cancers, and I know some people are asking to share that the image, so I can send it to you, and we can share it on your Twitter later. I'm not sure if it can be shared in the comments section, but
we just have a few questions coming on here. I suppose the first one here is, we've got it up there, Answers for Cancers, the podcast. So if a person has had a hysterectomy, are they no longer at risk of a gynecological cancer?
No, so a hysterectomy removes the womb, so you would no longer be at risk, I suppose, of endometrial cancer or uterine cancer, but you may still have your cervix, vagina, vulva, and your ovaries. So now, normally, I suppose, depending on the age, but when women are having a hysterectomy, depending for what reason, the ovaries and fallopian tubes may also be removed at the same time. So it really depends. If it's just been a simple hysterectomy, then you still have your other gynecological parts. So
So hope that answers your questions there, girls. Sharon, I would just like to bring everything to a close now, and thank you so much for coming on and having a chat with me today. You're absolutely lovely to be interviewing, and hopefully we will be in touch with you for World Go Day 2022. We're looking forward to seeing what the themes are this year, and to be working alongside yourself and your colleagues.
Yep, Perfect, Michelle, and thank you so much, and thanks for the opportunity to highlight gynecological cancers. And we're delighted to have the Pink Ladies aboard with our network and to work with going forward. So thank you very much, and best of luck with the rest of the conference.
Okay, thank you so much, Sharon. Bye.
Great discussion, Michelle.
Thank you so
And
much.
Sharon.
I really enjoyed it, so I did.
Absolutely great. It's far too often that so many women feel shame about going to their GP with these symptoms. Yeah. And as someone who has studied the way that the public and, you know, the everyday person understands health risks, it's just so important to raise awareness. So absolutely fantastic discussion. So now I want to direct everybody to once again look at the Slido, the polls and Q&A section of our Hopin platform here. So as we said last time, it should be on the right-hand side of your screen under events, and you should see a few different tabs. Some are Q&A, chat, and there should be one called Slido. So we have a poll up here, if everyone could answer it really quickly. Were you aware of all the different gynecological cancers? And I'd just love to know what everyone's thoughts were, if you had heard of them before. Yeah, we have a lot of people saying no, as we probably could have guessed.
Yeah, and I suppose, see, even for myself, Melissa, I wasn't even aware of them, and it's only been in recently, like in recent months, that I have started to look into the different gynecological cancers, and I wasn't aware, and I'm nearly 40 years of age.
Mm-hmm. So true that the smear test isn't checking for everything. No. I thought it was, but it's not. It's so important that we get the word out to everybody, and your awareness sessions that you do in the community are just so important as well, getting the word out. So yeah, we have 20% of the audience here who did know, so that's good. That's better than zero.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
So now we have another poll up. Would you be reluctant to attend your GP if you had symptoms? Try to be as honest as possible with this.
This will be an interesting one, Melissa.
Yeah. A lot of people are saying no. Well, that's good.
Yeah,
that people wouldn't be reluctant to attend. I feel like nowadays, like what you were saying, it's much more popularized in the media as well. Like a lot more people raising awareness of these cancers and joining initiatives and campaigns to.
People are taking more of a different approach on themselves and their bodies as well, and you know, where early detection is becoming really out there and quite key for people to be going as early as possible.
Yeah, and even just from members of the community, like in the case of Team Sorsha and all of that, whenever you can see someone who you can relate to, it makes it much more real, and people might be more encouraged to get out there and learn more as well.
Yeah, definitely.
So that's great. Lots of people would not be reluctant to attend their GP if they had symptoms. So that's exactly what we want to hear. We want to make sure that you're going to see your GP if you have any inkling that something might be wrong.
Yeah,
so now
definitely.
we have another poll. Do you agree that more awareness needs to be available in relation to gynecological cancers? Yes or no? And if you do say yes, maybe in the chat you could put some ideas that you might have for some ways that we could raise awareness with regards to gynecological cancers. Maybe workshops, or if anyone has any ideas, definitely pop them in the chat below, or the chat to the right. Let me just have a look here. And 100% say that they agree that more awareness is needed. Definitely. Definitely. Especially with regards to female health, there's such a lack of awareness.
Yeah, and even on, you know, there is a lot there that I feel that I've seen for cervical cancer and ovarian cancer the other gynecological cancers, you know, not as much. And I suppose now that I'm actually looking for it, I can find it, but for it just to be there, you know, as prevalent as cervical and ovarian would be a great way to start to bringing them all together, like.
Definitely, I agree. And also educating women as young as possible, learning about this in high school when they're developing and going through puberty and all of that stuff, talking about hormones and everything, as we know that their hormones play such a large role in the development of a cancer diagnosis. Because for me, I learned so much today that I did not know earlier, and I wish I had known earlier. I wish we were taught a lot more.
You know, with hormones comes so many different changes in your body that maybe you weren't aware of, that some of these changes actually can nearly be seen as a sign or symptom of a certain type of cancer. But just to know that that is a normal process of hormones as well, you know, for younger women as well. I suppose women of all age, Melissa.
Yeah, definitely. And that's why what you're doing with your awareness workshops are just so invaluable, getting out into the schools and into the community and just raising awareness of everything and how to get screened and all of that stuff, because it's just, there's such a lack of awareness. Nobody really would know. Like, everyone knows maybe what the symptoms are, but after that, they wouldn't really know where to go from there.
And
so
I suppose, Sharon,
step by step.
Sharon actually, for me, hit the nail in the head. And it's sometimes there's too much information. So it's about condensing the information, and it's all sharing the same information, you know, singing off the one hymn sheet. Because sometimes when there's too much, you get lost in the thoughts of it, and you're going, is it, isn't it? So, you know, maybe having that even condensed down, you know, approach, you know, where, you know, you follow 5. You know, she talked about the beat for ovarian cancer, you know, following them kind of strap lines as such, you know, so your signs is under there.
Yeah, absolutely. And from what I've studied, you know, through my PhD and everything, a lot of what I've studied had with regards to risk communication and how we communicate health risks to the public. It has to be very simplified. It has to be, you know, very streamlined, very basic, because you don't want to overwhelm people with information, because then they end up not taking any action at all to further educate themselves, and it feels too overwhelming for them. So making it as simple as possible definitely helps. I don't think we have any other questions here. I think that's all of our polls for today as well. We had a great response to the polls, so thank you everyone for putting in your responses. So I'm assuming now we might as well break a few minutes early for our tea break. So we're going to be taking a quick 15-minute tea break to stretch our legs, get a snack, get a cup of coffee or a cup of tea, and we'll be back promptly at 11:15 a.m. So you can listen out for the Pink Ladies Countdown, just as you did from the beginning of the conference. And after the tea break, we will be back promptly at 11:15, as I said, and I will be facilitating a discussion with Sally Martini from Breast Cancer UK, all about alcohol awareness and how to reduce your risk of developing breast cancer through making changes to your alcohol consumption. So it's going to be a really interesting talk. So, all right, we will see you back here at 11:15 a.m. So we have just